And then another, I think one of our simplest recommendations, which is, I hope will provoke a lot of discussion, is we don't think 18-year-olds should be on campus. That is, there's been a very steady increase in when people reach levels of maturity. This goes back to the 80s and 90s. It's been going up and up and up. And that's sort of a normal part of becoming a wealthier society is childhood. There used to be no adolescence. So adolescence is lengthening and lengthening. And as the book iGen shows, Jean Twenge says on many measures, 18-year-olds today are like 15-year-olds several decades ago. 18-year-olds today are less likely to have gone out drinking, to have had a boyfriend or girlfriend, to have had a job. They've been home a lot on their devices. They are not at the same place maturity-wise.
So are you proposing that we push college back?
Yes, a year or two of some sort of activity away from the home before you go to school. It'd be so good for everyone.
Greg, as the libertarian in this dynamic to it, please make clear you're not talking about national service.
Of this, which is essentially, I was someone who started working when I was 11. I think that definitely there are 18-year-olds who are absolutely mature enough to be on campus. I do, however, think that if we normalize gap years, if we normalize the idea of working for a year, particularly like in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, it would lead to less of the problems we see today. And at FIRE, I see this coming partially from the fact that the constituency that so often gets in trouble on campus are the quote-unquote non-traditional age students, the ones who served in the military or went back to school in their 30s. But they end up getting in trouble for what I consider to be kind of good reasons, because they're not as easily told what to do. They have a sense of, they have a locus of control. They have a sense of maturity that someone is oftentimes isn't going to have at a younger age. So I think that having sort of normalizing the gap year would be a very good thing.
Just to defend myself here, I wasn't saying, I'm not saying to a libertarian organization we need a federal law. I'm saying
I know that.
If the Ivy League schools, if the most prestigious schools, if the University of Chicago started saying, we will give preference to people who've taken a year or two off. That's all it would take.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And then they would find that their students are much more ready to learn, much more ready to encounter diversity of views.
And it was absolutely true when I went to law school. The ones who actually took some time off, the ones who just came out of school were the people who were like, oh, this is so much work.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm worried about a test.
I had a similar experience working a couple of years before going to grad school. Grad school was kind of a vacation.
Well, totally. I was kind of like, one of my best friends was a guy who was a carpenter for 10 years before law school, and both of us were like, so you're frightened of the fact that we have to read a lot.
Yeah, it is pretty brutal. But.